unfortunately, with alcohol and drugs coming into it, we will be having a lot of patrols in around the areas where we feel people will be congregating or celebrating. The nightclubs, the bars, will say, all those areas. Unfortunately, what happens then is, if people don't drink responsibly, we do find on weekends like this that people lose their temper, get involved in scenarios, get arrested, are brought in, are processed, and then end up with criminal convictions associated with even simple drunkenness on the street itself, or it can be more serious when it's involving assaults or altercations that happen. And, unfortunately, they're happening, a lot over weekends, bank holiday weekends included, and this one will be no different. So what we're hoping for is that, look, we will be increasing guard availability in expected hotspots and focusing on preventing, even, public urination, the violence. And then there's some of the behaviour which really adds to, I suppose, the people feeling a little bit unsafe in those environments. So it's all about keeping people safe. It's about members of the public being able to move freely in a safe environment around the towns and villages or wherever they congregate for this bank holiday weekend. So we're again asking people to look, if there are incidents that need to be reported of antisocial behaviour, report them. An Garda Síochána will respond to those incidents. And again, for children and parents, or parents of children, to really be aware where your children are over this weekend, and try and make sure that they're not getting involved in scenarios which could potentially then affect their futures if it was previous convictions or getting a criminal conviction, and then that can have obviously ramifications from them going forward.
And without wishing to minimise any of this behaviour, do a lot of these instances come down to people losing the run of themselves on what is a day of, as we said, a day of festivities? And would you be advising people to go out, enjoy themselves, but to do so in a safe manner and a manner that doesn't adversely affect anybody else?
Yeah, my experience with it is, people who drink to excess or, go out in certain scenarios, they're the finest people when they're not drunk. But some people, once they do get intoxicated, behave in such a way that ends up in public order scenarios, ends up in negative interactions with other members of the public, culminating, unfortunately, in ourselves probably having to intervene. So I always find that if people go out in groups, if they mind each other and there's one or two people responsible in those groups minding each other, it's far better for them to it just allows that safe environment to happen. And again, everybody goes out, enjoys themselves and come home safely. And that's what we all want over this weekend.